I'm Carrie Fountain, and I'm very happy to welcome you to my living room on this very bright and sunny day in Austin, Texas. Today I was so pleased to be asked to read a poem from the Paris Review archives, and it seemed fated to me that I happened to have fallen deeply in love with a poem from the current issue of the Paris Review. So it seemed fated that this is the poem that I should read. And it makes me wonder about the nature of an archive. What makes something archival? When does something become archival? So hopefully this is like this is the living archive of the Paris Review, the current issue. The poem is by the poet Maya C. Popa, and the poem is called Letters in Winter. There is not one leaf left on that tree on which a bird sits this Christmas morning, the sky heavy with snow that never arrives, the sun itself barely rising. In the overcast nothingness, it's easy to feel afraid, overlooked by something that was meant to endure. It's difficult today to think clearly through pain. Some actual, most imagined, future pain I try lamely to prepare myself for by turning your voice over in my mind or imagining the day I'll no longer hug my father, his grip tentative but desperate all the same. At the cafe, a woman describes lilacs in her garden. She is speaking of spring, the life after this one. The first thing to go when I shut the book between us is the book, silence its own alphabet, and still something so dear about it. It will be spring, I say, over and over. I'll ask that what I lost not grow back. I see how winter is forbidding. It grows the heart by lessening everything else and demands that we keep trying. I am trying. But oh, to understand us, any one of us, and not to grieve. I love that poem more and more every time I read it. And every time I read it, I feel like I'm surprised by a different part of the poem. Those last lines are so, they're sort of, it's like impossible and inevitable there at the end. But oh, to understand us, any one of us, and not to grieve. What I love about this poem is so many things, but a few of the things I love about this poem, that it invites the reader in so generously at the beginning with a very generous and specific image. There is not one leaf left on that tree on which a bird sits this Christmas morning, the sky heavy with snow that never arrives, the sun itself barely rising. And then from there, I'm already hooked into the poem. There's no going back. I'm only going forward. I'm there with the speaker. I'm sitting there. I'm looking out the window and seeing the tree. But then it's sort of like the poet launches into this like deep meditation about the nature of grief and the way we feel pain, the way we imagine pain, and the idea of future pain I try lamely to prepare myself for by imagining these sort of sad things. And then returns again and plants itself in the world again. At the cafe, a woman describes lilacs in her garden. Again, we're like drawn back into the world of the poem, the speaker's world. And she's speaking of spring, the life after this one. And then there are just so many lines toward the end of this poem that like, it's like a cascade. It's like dominoes falling. It will be spring, I say over and over. I'll ask that what I lost not grow back. I think that is the line that when I first read this poem, like caught my breath and had me going back to read it again and again. It's such a surprising moment in the poem, you know, like the very nature of spring is that we ask the world to grow back. We ask that what was taken in winter return. And the speaker saying there, I'll ask that what I lost not grow back, is such a stunning moment. And then this departure from the poem is truly stunning. I see how winter is forbidding. It grows the heart by lessening everything else and demands that we keep trying. Oh, it's just wonderful. And then the last two lines, I am trying. The speaker suddenly kind of appearing in her, like the fullness of her speaking voice, the fullness of her selfhood. I am speaking, but oh, to understand us, any one of us, and not to grieve. And it's a question at the end of this poem. Just really remarkable. There's my cat. Welcome to my home. I cannot start this video over again, so you're going to have to go, Carlos. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to share this poem with you from this current issue of the Paris Review. Read it. Read this poet, Maya Popa. She's a wonderful poet. This is one of many of her wonderful poems. And thank you.